What if it was possible to have local, fresh groceries delivered right to your door? Think of all the free time you'd have. Well, Instacart gives unlimited grocery delivery for one low monthly fee. Forgot that special ingredient in your favorite dish? Instacart can deliver it to your front door in as fast as 1 hour. You can shop multiple stores, see deals in your area, and save time and money. I've been using Instacart for over 3 years. I started using them in Arizona, and I'm using them here in Florida. I love the time-saving convenience. They pick the freshest products, and they keep my eggs safe too. To receive your first delivery free, follow the link in the show notes so that Instacart knows that we sent you and to help support the show. Instacart. Never step foot in a grocery store again.
So every skill, every disaster I went through was a piece of what I needed to take that step to my ultimate level of success that I achieved at this moment in time.
There are many things people need to balance in their lives in order to maintain happiness and emotional health. You need to look after your romantic, spiritual, and physical needs to keep them in balance. When feeling down, seeing an intuitive advisor could be the optimal way to get back on track. An intuitive reading session could be the tool you need to reduce the ambient noise in your life and focus on things that truly matter, growing, finding clarity, and empowering your life. Head over to jenniferpilates.com to claim your special intuitive email reading. Again, that's jenniferpilates.com. Welcome to Empowered Within, a soul-quenching, transformational podcast that will set your soul on fire through candid and inspiring conversations. Leading experts, celebrities, healers, and I share our journeys of how we've overcome challenges to living an empowered life from within. I'm your host, Jennifer Pilates. Welcome to another episode of Empowered Within. Hi there. I'm excited to introduce you to our guest today, Beate Chelette. She is a first-generation immigrant who found herself $135,000 in debt as a single mom. She bootstrapped her passion for photography into a highly successful global business and eventually sold it to Bill Gates in a multi-million-dollar deal. She is amongst the top 100 global thought leaders by PeopleHum and one of the 50 must-follow women entrepreneurs by Huffington Post. Welcome to the show, Beate.
Jennifer, I'm so excited to be here. I can't wait.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you here. Let's just dive right in because I'm sure I can hear listeners going, what does bootstrap mean and how did she do that? Where did your journey start and how did that all come about for you?
Yeah, so my journey started originally in Germany, and I'm sure that many of your listeners can relate to that. You know, I always felt that I wasn't quite fitting in. And coming from Germany, where people take things very seriously, the first time that really stood out is when I was in this aptitude test, and over, 10 pages, I had to fill out all the things I was good at and all the things I liked. And it was things like, do you like being outside? Are you physically fit? Are you afraid of heights? And then once this aptitude assessment was finished, it said I should be a roofer.
Oh, no. A roofer. Oh, how interesting.
That's what I thought. And then I talked to the career counselor and I said, it's not that I have a problem with roofing, but I'm not exactly thinking that's a career choice for me. So we went through a bunch of different things, and her answer to everything was always the same. Too many applicants, not enough positions. And so I wanted to do something that was exciting, a jewelry designer, a textile designer, a photographer. And she always said, no, 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 no. And then at the end of it, I was like, this doesn't work for me. I got to figure out something different. So that's where I started, is with this idea that I felt that what sort of the middle of the road was, or what other people thought, or what tests or aptitude assessments said, clearly didn't apply to me because I had no desire to be a roofer.
Right. But I bet you would have made a really good roofer.
I probably would have made an excellent roofer.
Yeah. So then how did you take your photography into becoming this global business? How did you decide photography is the way for me to go?
Because then after this aptitude test, I said, screw this, I'm going to be a photographer anyway. And I applied to the Photo Institute in Munich. I was accepted, shockingly. And so I became a photographer. But very quickly, I realized that while I understand the creative soul, and I have a creative soul, but the business is so much more natural and easy to me. So, I think in processes and systems. And so I decided I was going to go in the business side of business. I was a photo editor at Elle magazine in Germany. And while that was a dream job, being 23 and running the photo department at Elle magazine, ultimately, I didn't like the industry that much. I mean, I loved the idea of creating and putting out magazines and working with photographers, but the politics and how important people take fashion, I did not enjoy that. So I decided I was going to go on an adventure, and I went on the year abroad to the United States, and that has not ended to this day. And part of this journey really is this, this young woman that just tries to figure out, who the heck am I and what am I here to do? And I always felt that I was here to do something big. And so every time I did something, and then when I landed here in Los Angeles, I was a photographer representative. I was a still photography producer. Then I was laid off. I had to figure out how to set up my own business. At this time, I'm newly married and I'm a new mother. And the relationship was a disaster. The man was perfect with 2 mistakes. He was a pathological liar and an alcoholic. But Jennifer, I didn't know, and I didn't figure this out until, I already had my beautiful baby girl. And so I had to figure out, as an accidental entrepreneur, how am I going to now go through a divorce, feed my baby with a hostile and volatile ex-husband with no family here, as an immigrant in a country that's not my own. And that's when my decade of disasters started, where I really had to fight for survival.
Yeah, I saw that you wrote that you've been through 8 disasters. And I'm wondering, what does that mean to you? The word disaster is different for everyone. What are these 8 disasters that brought you to where you are?
So, from riots, fires, floods, earthquake, a tsunami, 9/11, and a lawsuit, a pandemic. Who knew that I was going to add a pandemic to my ever-growing repertoire of disasters, right? So I felt a disaster to me is really something that yanks you in a completely different direction. So here I am, I'm bumbling along, my business is going well. So I thought, and then I find out my key employee had gotten a little bit too close to my key vendor. And so they came up with an idea to run their business, which was my business, just without me. Next thing I know, my invoices are being paid to them. And vendors, my clients are not calling me back, and they made up all kinds of stories about me withholding money. I mean, plain up lies. I mean, when you do that kind of stuff, you have to justify your behavior, I suppose. And so I was in this huge lawsuit for an entire year. And as I thought I was going to get out of it, because I had production season coming around, because that cost me my photography representation business, September 11th comes. And, and I was watching actually yesterday a documentary on 9/11. And gosh, I mean, that memory of what that did to me personally, aside from what it did to everyone else, is still embedded in my memory, because as the towers fell, so did my business, because there was not one single person that was going to go on an airplane, fly to Los Angeles and produce here. And I had clients like Wrangler, Levi Strauss, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and they were all scheduled to come here. So I lost $500,000 in literally 24 hours when one after another canceled. And then you fight your way out of it. And then the lawsuit settled. It settled with nothing. So I have zero money again, because I was already deep in debt with the lawsuit. And so I started again with this new idea on the stock photography syndication business. And I fight and I fight, but I'm going deeper and deeper into debt. And I'm $130-something thousand in debt. And I figured, if I drown, I drown in the ocean. At least I don't drown in a puddle, right? At least at $135,000, it's worth it. And so I fly to Germany. My father has a stroke, but my father didn't have a stroke. My father had pancreatic cancer, and he dies within only 6 weeks. And so here I am, I'm broke. My father died, my best friend, my supporter, my cheerleader. No matter what I touch, it's a disaster. These hits just keep coming. I have no money. I don't even know how I'm going to pay for the funeral. And here I am. And talk about defining moments, Jennifer, in life sometimes where you talk about why, right? Why is this happening to me? Why am I here? I've done nothing wrong. I've worked hard. I've taken care of my kid. I don't cheat. I don't lie. I don't take advantage of people. I'm a good person. And yet here I am. And so my phone rings and I'm literally at the grave. And this just happened. The funeral just finished. And it's my office. And they said, we've just been served a notice. Now I'm losing the house.
Oh, my God, sweetie. Oh.
What do you do? What do you do?
What do you do? What did you do?
I fell on my knees. I raised my fist against the sky and I yelled at God. I thought that was the appropriate thing to do. And I said, look, if you have a plan, this would be a good time to fill me in right now, because this makes no sense. What else can you pile up on this heap of stuff that's already gone wrong? And then you surrender and you let it go. And you say, okay, it better be finding a bankruptcy attorney, because this is the beginning. This is the beginning of the end. And then I get a letter from the White House, because in my desperation, Jennifer, I wrote a letter to the President of the United States a couple months before. And so this letter from the White House put me in touch with the Small Business Administration. Now, I had written my business plan. I've done all the work, right? It just took the time for the universe, for God, for spirit, for whatever magic that was happening to come full circle. I just didn't know it was. And so I go in the Small Business Administration with my business plan, meet the second in command, because it was a letter from the White House. And they find me a bank to restructure and refinance my debt, $135,000 in a fixed 10-year note that freed up my line of credit. That brought me to break even. It was 3 months, Jennifer. That's how close it was. Wow. 3 months. From the darkest moment of my life to being at break even. 3 months.
I have goosebumps up and down right now. Just chills. Wow.
And then I became the darling in the industry. And I fell into delivering celebrity at home stories, because my specialty was architecture and interior photography. And I hadn't even thought about that. These great photographers, the A-listers, are photographing the A-list homes because they work with A-list architects and A-list interior designers. So suddenly I'm reselling Madonna's house, Francis Ford Coppola's house, Terry Hatcher, Simon Baker, Julianne Moore. Every A-lister house ended up on my desk. And remember, I was a photo editor at Elle magazine.
Right.
Do you think I knew how to sell these things?
Mm-hmm.
Of course I did.
Of course.
And that's how I became the world leader. And that's what attracted the attention of a Bill Gates company. And they said, can you tell us how you do it? And like any decent woman, I said, absolutely not. If you want to know how I do it, you have to pay for it. And they made me a multimillion-dollar offer. And that was the number that I wanted. And so I sold my business. And that's how I became a self-made multimillionaire.
First, I want to say I'm so sorry that your dad passed and that you went through all of that. But like you're saying, sometimes those blessings in disguise, the lessons with everything that hits us, and the surrender is the part that we often forget, the surrendering. Are you ready to lose inches, increase strength, and tone your body from head to toe? Are you ready for a total body, mind, and spirit transformation? I am excited to announce that I am launching my exclusive 8-week Pilates Return to Life training program. This will give you an opportunity to have a total body, mind, and spirit transformation of health and wellness to a new lifestyle. Imagine in 7 days you will feel a difference, in 14 days you will see a difference, and in 8 weeks you will have your new Pilates body. body. So what do you say? Want to join me on the mat? Head over to jenniferpilates.com today. Space is limited. Use a special promo code EW and the word special, EW special, to receive $200 off while space is available. Head on over to jenniferpilates.com and I'll see you on the mat.
I want to agree with you. I think that the lesson or sort of the takeaway I want to really put in front of your audience is that we believe so often that the path needs to be mapped out because we think that we can figure out the path to getting to where we want to go. That's not true. We only determine the destination. How we get there is not up to us. That's really up to God, spirit, the universe, the energy, whatever it is that you prefer to call it. But the surrender is the acceptance that I am not in charge of this. I knew where I wanted to go. I knew I wanted to sell my business. That was very clear. After what happened with the lawsuit before, I knew that this had to be an equity business. This can never happen to me again. And I wanted to cash out so I can put my daughter through college, buy myself a house nobody can throw me out of, and be financially secure. I never thought that the path, that the crash course, right? And I crashed multiple times in this crash course, that was designed to teach me the skills I needed to get to the point where I saw the opportunity, recognized the opportunity, took advantage of the opportunity. And because I had been in a lawsuit, the transaction and the due diligence was nothing compared to the lawsuit because I've just been through it, right? Mm-hmm. I already had to bare my soul in all the lawsuit discovery. And so the surrender is often misunderstood as something that's negative. It is actually empowering to fall into the trust that the universe, God, spirit is here to support you, mm-hmm. and that it will turn around. It's just not going to be exactly like how you thought you wanted it to be.
Right. It's never like what we think.
Never.
Ever.
Never. Ever.
Like today. It's never what we think. So, and bringing us to today, are you still in California and what are you doing now?
Yes. So after I sold the business, they made me an offer to run the global entertainment division for a Bill Gates company. And then when I did that, I realized that the deck is really stacked against women and people that are non-conforming everywhere. And, I didn't see it as much in my entrepreneurial business because that's just not how I operated. I mean, I knew I had to use what I had to get to the table, but I didn't see how bad it was until I was in corporate America. And so I quit. I became a consultant. And so today I work with a lot of visionaries and leaders and help them devise strategies and blueprints to make their impact. And so I work with women leaders on whether they're employed or entrepreneurs. I work with organizations that want to make a bigger impact. And I work with a lot of entrepreneurs in all industries that understand that they need a better strategy, a system, a formula, and map out to get to their goal like I had to map out how I was going to get there.
That's amazing. What an incredible turnaround. You have this theory that women can have it all, just not at the same time. What does that mean to you?
So when I was a young mother and my daughter was between 5 and 7, she had developed asthma. And there was this one night where she stopped breathing. And she was gasping for air, and I didn't know what it was. I don't know anybody who had asthma. So I yanked her out of bed, tried to wake her up. Thank God she woke up, drove her to the ER, and she had this condition, asthma. And so for the next 3 years, I'm obsessed with figuring out, what do I do? How do I need to handle this? She obviously too young to take an inhaler. So how do I get her to be healthy? And then she grew out of it. And this thing that hung over my head for 3 years suddenly vanishes because she simply grew out of it. And that's what gave me the idea that as women, we tend to look at everyone we know And I look at my friends and I say, Kelly's got the best relationship. Marla has the best taste. Susie is so fit. I want her body. And so I look at everyone around me and I think I need to be the best version of all of them combined here and today. That is crazy making. So I beat myself up because I can't do the organic meals, that I don't have time to work out, special time for my relationship, enough time to build my business. But all of my friends are only good at this one thing. They're not good at all things. And so I looked at this and I said, wait. There's a rhythm to this. And I call it ego rhythm, your own rhythm. And it means that there is a time to be in the relationship and make that your main focus. There's a time to be a mother and make that your main focus. Because if you knew with your 2-year-old that's clinging onto your leg, that they'll be 17 one day and yelling at you from the top of their lungs that they hate you, you would be enjoying that time so much more. And so I said, this is the way we can really help women to understand the cycles of life, the rhythms of life, to say, you can have it all. You can have the body, the relationship, the motherhood. You just can't have it all at once. You have to decide what's your main focus. Otherwise, you do 10 things half-assed and instead make one thing your main focus and do that really well. And everything else falls underneath that main focus. And then when that shifts, you put something else as your main focus and then everything else falls underneath.
I think that's great. I love that. It is such wonderful advice, especially now with everything shifting in all of our lives, in our work, in our home. People are home and they're trying to homeschool and they're trying to work. And, that is excellent advice that I truly hope that our listeners heed and remember and maybe write down and put it up on their vision board or on their refrigerator to remember you don't have to be it all today, but just be the best. No, you don't. Just be the best version of you today.
Exactly. And I wrote a book about this, and the book is Happy Woman, Happy World. So if that's a concept you want to find out more about, then just go to Amazon. It's an audiobook, ebook, and a printed book, Happy Woman, Happy World, where I really lay out these concepts because I felt that women are, and again, in the pandemic, Jennifer, that's what we saw. Who bears the brunt of it all is always the women. Mm-hmm. And then we're being scrutinized over not being able to do everything perfectly. And it's insane. It's not possible. You cannot be a full-time, as you said, educator and a full-time stay-at-home mom while you have a full-time job with all the other things that you do on a regular basis. So we have to be a lot more diligent with ourselves into allowing us to be imperfect in some areas, because we understand the area that we are focusing on the most is really our priority right now.
It's true. I love being perfectly imperfect.
Yes. I love that.
Right? Now, something else that you talk about is failing your way to success. And we've kind of touched that a little bit. Do you want to share a little bit more, especially on, because I feel like there's someone still going, but she didn't explain the bootstrapping. What does that mean?
Yes. So failing your way to success and the bootstrapping. So bootstrapping really is that sometimes in life, you don't have the option of others to be there to support you because they either can't or they don't want to, or it's not the right time. So you have to figure out how to do it on your own. Now, that is a great skill to have. Sometimes I think women then get, there's a flip side to it when we get too independent, when we think we don't need anybody anymore. That's a whole other story. I don't think that's what we're talking about right now. But the bootstrapping is for really understanding that if you set out to achieve a goal, that the solution is already out there and it's here for you to find it. But you can only find it when you fail your way to success, which means that you are really taking the steps on the journey to the goal that you want to get to. And oftentimes that is making financial investments, coaches, consultants, programs, systems, or investing in a business that you don't know if it's going to love you back the way you love it. before anyone has bought anything, and trusting that the mistakes that you're making along the way, the failures or the perception of failures, really need to be changed in just a person standing there with a big fat stop sign, Jennifer, saying to you, hey, no, this is not the way. So if I were to be driving in a car, in a rental car somewhere, and the GPS has not updated on, in the car, and I see that the road has been changed, and now it's a cul-de-sac, it's a dead end, I wouldn't get out of the car and throw myself on the ground and throw a temper tantrum in Hawaii. I would just simply get back into the car and say, I know the volcano is here somewhere, and I'll just go and find a different way. And so if we have this attitude of what we perceive as dead ends, as failures, and shifting that as a dead end into, thank God I found out this early that this is not the way to go, as a road sign, then we can fail our way to success and not be upset about that or take it personal. But a lot of people, and I don't know if you see that a lot in your work, Jennifer, but a lot of women are very hard on themselves when they are making what they perceive as a mistake. What do you see on your end?
I see a lot of that, and I try to help women change that mindset that we're not failing. We're sort of learning lessons as we fall forward. I try to just not have that word failing or mistakes, and it's a lesson. We've learned something, and I like to look at it as with every lesson, there is a blessing that comes from it. So there's always going to be that silver lining that we find. But I do find, especially right now, this last year and a half, everyone is like beating themselves up. And no, we're literally all in new territory together. And I try to remind everyone that too. And sometimes we forget we are all kind of on this rowboat and everybody's rowing in different directions. And if we could just kind of all just get together and remember that the more we support and we work together, the further we get.
Yes. And I like that a lot about what you just said, is that really is what I found as well. I think we all, as teachers, educators, consultant, coaches, we all operate from the same idea that I believe that people that are here to make a really big impact are being sent through a crash course to figure out where we really are at as humans. And only with this crash course and this knowledge can we really relate and apply the solutions that are helping other people to be better, live a fuller life, be more at ease with themselves. So I call this the activation. I believe that everybody that I work with has been activated. And only people who have been activated, and I see you smile, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
I do.
Only people who understand that, it's literally a thing, oh yeah, that's me. I got the memo a while ago. And when you come from that perspective where you say, I know I've been activated, this is part of the journey to get me to where I need to be, so I can really be at the place that I need to operate from to achieve the goal and not judge it. Because if I would have judged being a photographer, a photo editor, a producer, an agent, I would have never been able to do what I did, because I worked with photographers. So I understood what they wanted because I was an agent. I was a producer, so I knew exactly, to watch for trends. I was a photographer myself, so I understood what the creative mind and what it takes to be really good at what you are at. I worked at Elle Magazine, so I worked on the business side behind a creative business. So I understood how to set up systems and operational procedures. So each one of these pieces that seemed irrelevant by itself, or kind of like maybe a zigzag in education, came in really handy when it came finally including the lawsuit as one of the things that really made me be able to sell a business to Bill Gates. And this isn't just some minor transactions, a multimillion-dollar deal with the richest man in the world. And it was being sold to him, not Microsoft. It was sold to him for his private other business. And so the judging of the path is what causes the friction. So if we ease into the path with curiosity and humor, I think we'll fare a lot better at it.
I agree with you 100%. And boy, could we use some humor right about now.
Oh my gosh.
Could we?
Yeah. And I think that this density that everybody's experiencing is that we need some light at the end of the tunnel. And there isn't any because we're not learning and we are not behaving in a way that we are going to get out of this anytime soon. I mean, the way we're going, we're just going to create more mutations. And every mutation is its own pandemic and running around the world, which is what we're seeing right now. So I definitely believe that the self-care and the realization of who am I? How do I belong? What am I here to do is something that is on everybody's mind right now. And yes, the pandemic is difficult, but we had other things like that before. I mean, 9/11, nobody flew for years because everybody was so freaked out. The earthquake, nobody came to Los Angeles for years after the earthquake. So you have to remember that this disaster response is not new, but there's an opportunity, like you said, in every darkness. So that's the job we are in it for, not to stand around and cry over why this is happening, but to really go inside and say, oh, where is it? I'm coming. I know you're hiding, but I'm looking for you. I know the opportunity is there, and the opportunity is always there.
It really is. And that's the key right now, is to see the opportunities and see the blessings. People that never spent time with their children are able to spend time with their children and their husbands or their wives, and getting to know your neighbors, not having to drive, not, being stuck in traffic. There's so many more blessings, I feel, than not. And I guess I'll probably just leave it at that out of this last year and a half. And we're in the thick of it. And we've got some time to go through still, but there is a lot of lightness within all this darkness. And we just need everyone to believe and hold the line.
Yes. And I think I want to add to that one more piece is guard your exposure with a vengeance. So if you keep watching the news and the misery and you listen to the yelling and the screaming, you're participating in the problem. The solution isn't coming from trying to convince people that can't be convinced, because all they're looking for is justification for the way they're behaving. Those are not people that are healthy to be around. And, I see it with my mother, my brother, and my sister, who are very convinced that their way is the only way. And they look for reasons, and they're in Germany, and they look for reasons why their way is the right way. So while I love them and they're my family, I do not need to be in a discussion with them over it, because I know how artificial intelligence and search engines work. I know that every time they go on a computer and they do a search, that their preferences are going to deliver to them exactly what they already believe in, because they're not searching for anything else. They're searching for proof that they are right. And because artificial intelligence only gives you what you engage in, and artificial intelligence doesn't care if it's true or not true. It's just what they are serving you. So you have to be clear that the minute you go online or watch TV, you are being manipulated because you're engaging in things that you believe in, because you only go to sources that you believe in. So you're just reinforcing this. We're never going to get out of anything like that. The trick is to remove yourself from it, to kind of remove the cookies and the browsing history from your brain and say, what's really the best use of my time today? How do I drive myself forward? How do I create a better life for myself and my family? What can I do today to be happy? What can I do today to be in a good mindset? Who do I need to listen to? What podcasts like Jennifer's do I need to listen to get myself into the mindset of possibility and get myself away from this negative? Because the negative reinforcement gets you down in a spiral further and further and further. So we have to unspiral you and get you in the reverse direction where you go higher and higher and higher.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So we are coming to that time in the show where I have a very special question for you. What is one thing that no one knows about you?
Probably that I used to ballroom dance when I was in Germany, that I was a competitive ballroom dancer.
Really? That's exciting. Oh my gosh. Wow. Very cool. What parting words would you like to leave with our audience today?
My final words would be is that if you're here, you're already at the right place, because you found Jennifer, you found her podcast, and her message. And it means that you're already looking for solutions, and look at where you are at as the gift, the first step to creating what you're here to really create for yourself, and hold that vision and keep going and shut everything else out that's not supporting that vision. That would be my best advice.
Oh, that's perfectly sums up everything. So tell our listeners, if they'd like to get in touch with you, where is the best place that they can connect with you?
Yes. So as I said, you can go and get the book, Happy Woman, Happy World. If you're interested in all my women's work, you can go to thewomenscode.com and check out some of the things that we're doing over there on women leadership and women empowerment and women's lives, so to speak. And you can always email me directly at bc@beatechelette.com. And you can check out, if you're an entrepreneur and you want to build a business, check out my work at thegrowtharchitect.xyz. And that is where I do a lot of business building and support businesses in moving forward.
Everything will be in the show notes for you to check out over at jenniferpilates.com. Thank you so much again, Beate, for being on the show, for sharing your incredible journey and transformation, and helping to give us insights into helping us all move forward with a positive mindset. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Jennifer.
All right. Well, as we say, until next time.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Empowered Within with Jennifer Pilates. Your feedback is important. It helps me to connect with you and gives me insight into who you are and what you're enjoying about the show. For today's show notes and discount codes from today's sponsors, head over to jenniferpilates.com. Until next time, may you live an empowered life from within.